After watching UFC 311, three specific things pop to my head, and I'm curious if those things up for you. But before we get into that, we are marching towards 6,000 subs, and we definitely need your help to do so. So make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you share this out so we can get to our next goal and start pushing further past that. But on to UFC 311. The first thing that popped into my head was the fact that Merab Dvalishvili has no viable threats in the bantamweight division, or at least it seems that way. He's on a magical run of dominant non-dominance, if that's a thing. He's got one finish in the UFC, and everything else has been a decision, but those decisions tend to be very dominant. He runs over people with his cardio and his pace. He weaponizes it better than almost anybody in UFC history. You know, you got your Colby Covingtons, you have your Michael Bispings, you have your Cain Velasquez, but Merab does it in a different way, and it's been very, very successful. It's successful to the tune of the fact that he's beaten the top three contenders in the division, and those fights were pretty dominant, even though he finished none of them. So what are you going to do with Merab? And is Merab already on his way towards GOAT status without finishing people? It's weird, isn't it? So I want to know down in the comments, if Merab is going to be beat, how do you think that he's going to be beat? How can you beat somebody who fights the way that he does? So one of the reasons, or one of the ways that I think that you can't beat Merab, is you have to hurt him early. You have to put yourself in danger, and you have to go after him without having the fear of the takedown, and hurt him early. He's shown that you can crack him, and he does get hurt. Henry Cejudo hurt him in their fight, and I think that Umar landed some pretty significant shots himself, but it could put him away. And for Merab, you almost have to put yourself in the danger zone of being reversed and being on your back in order to be able to finish him, because I feel like that might be the only way that you can beat him. You're not going to win a decision against Merab Dvalishvili because of the way that he fights. You have to hurt him early, and you have to put your foot on the gas, take a little bit away from the defense, and put more on the offense in order to beat him. But I'm curious. Y'all let me know down in the comments. What do you think? How do you beat Merab? The second thing that I took away from UFC 311 is Islam has to go up to welterweight. At this point, Islam Makhachev has beaten 5 of the top 10 fighters at lightweight, and the majority of the top 5. He is probably the most dominant lightweight champion that we've had, and that includes his boy Khabib Nurmagomedov. And there's not a lot more for him to do outside of taking on challengers who some may deem not worthy of a title shot just because it's new. So what are his options? Well, Armin is somebody that the UFC clearly hates after what happened behind the scenes of UFC 311 that took him off the card. So he's not an option at this point. He's going to have to fight his way back to the title, according to what Dana said. He can rematch Charles Oliveira, who you could argue that he is a worthy challenger, but we've already seen that fight, and it was a finish. So why would he not be deserving of going up to welterweight? Well, we have the Bilal Muhammad situation, but that may work itself. One, Ali Abdelaziz is a manager for both of them, and he can probably work as the middleman to negotiate how they could fight each other. Khabib would be on the other side pushing against that because he doesn't believe that brothers should fight each other. But Bilal is more of a newbie to the camp, and maybe they'll make a concession. If that doesn't happen, he could wait for the Shavkat versus Bilal fight to happen. And if Shavkat wins, then that's an easy go up to welterweight and fight Shavkat. And that would be a super fight that I think a lot of people would want to see, me included. Otherwise, I don't know what he does at lightweight that would be intriguing to anybody outside of rematches. So he's got to go up to welterweight. The third and final that popped into my head was light heavyweight has a Max Holloway, Alex Volkanovski situation brewing right now, and it could present a problem for a already problem division. So Alex Pereira is scheduled to fight Magomed Ankalaev, and that is one fight that he, as of the recording of this, is not favored in. It's only slightly. Money come in, it'll probably flip. But otherwise, he would be favored against pretty much everybody in the division. He is very dominant in the skill set that he uses, and it's apparent in his fights. He knows what he's going to do, and the people who fight him are hard-pressed to stop it. And this mirrors what happened with Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski when they were 1-2 in the featherweight division before Ilia Topuria came in and wrecked it. If you have Jiri Prochazka, who could or could not fight for a third attempt at the belt against Alex Pereira, fighting these other contenders and knocking them off like he's done against Jamal Hill and Alexander Rakic, then you're going to see a very similar situation to what happened with Alex Volkanovski and Max Holloway, where Max was beating Arnold Allen, beating Yair Rodriguez, beating Calvin Kattar, and nobody could get past him to get to the title. It makes the division odd, I would say. But it also makes it almost inevitable that we're going to get Alex against Jiri Prochazka 3. And if Jiri loses that fight, then he has to make some hard decisions. But if he wins, then we'll probably get the fourth one. It's just an odd situation for light heavyweight. So if you share any of those, let me know in the comments. If you have questions or comments of your own about any of those three, or if there's something that I missed on the card that you want to point out, make sure you leave that in the comments. But yeah, till next time.